Right. In 2 miles, use the right lane to take the exit toward downtown Troy.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Motor vehicle one.
Breaking news. A musical podcast for the guy that does the research so you don't have to.
Breaking news.
This is
Breaking news.
June 2025.
To all you patriots, what they think they really mean. Truth seekers and justice lovers.
Breaking news.
Don't be left in the dark. Be prepared and stay vigilante.
Breaking news.
Dear winning with all of this recent month's most accountability and consequential headlines.
Breaking news.
From the economy to geopolitics and even the latest lawsuit. All of your favorite
Breaking news. Breaking news.
We cut through the noise and give you
Breaking news.
breaking news. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
We at Coca-Cola Record value your time and pride ourselves on giving you the facts without adding. So forget following your phone or do a premium subscription. Tune into this month's privately shared broadband frequency and local TV. We report to the copyrighted subsidiary of CCS Projects and FPO views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect that of the Coca-Cola Record team, nor that of its parent company, CCS Projects, and FPO or essentially.
June 2025. 2025 sounds like. Testing 1, 2, 3. And we weren't recording. See, this is why you check these sort of things, you know? This is why you check these sort of things. Okay. Let's fucking try it.
We do appreciate your will research and all your questions in just a moment. Your patronage and your patience are truly appreciated. We do appreciate your call. Your questions in just a moment. Your patronage and your patience are truly appreciated. We do appreciate your call. We'll answer all your questions in just a moment. Your patronage and your patience are truly appreciated.
Donald Trump is in the Epstein file. That is the real reason they have a public. Like, Saudi Crown Prince MBS will not attend G7 summit in Canada. Minnesota Rep. Portman and husband killed. Senator Hoffman and wife wounded in politically motivated shooting. Governor Wall says, Lion kills businessman Jerry Safari Lodge in Namibia after he stepped out of tent to use toilet. Jojo Siwa says she is head over heels as she confirms relationship with Chris Hughes. It's not platonic anymore. Confusion. confusion. Friday, a woman and seized the haul of cocaine ever detected at the country's main international airport. Officials said the unnamed 38-year-old Thai woman was carrying nearly 10 kilograms, 22 pounds, of cocaine stuffed into 3 plush toys. John, Emmy-winning host of ESPN's Science, dead at 54 after battle with depression, lost his mind. Ariana Grande and Pedro Pascal among supporters of LGBT Suicide Lifeline. Race across the world star Sam Gardner, 24, dies after car crash. We will miss him endlessly. Hawker discovers man's burnt body on Georgia mountain, an area visitors usually don't go to. Police say Supreme Court denies challenges to laws banning assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines. We won't stay silent. Tech fans have spotted the potential clue that Taylor Swift might be teasing a new album after buying back her masters. New York mayoral candidate takes plunge, pumping $2 million into catchy roller coaster ad. New Balance's new Y2K inspired sneakers look like a Sony MB player for your feet. When Andrew Cuomo announced his resignation as governor years ago, he took time to compliment those who accused him of sexual harassment, even while taking their accounts. Colorado flamethrower attack marks rising violence targeting U.S. Jews. The crew of a cargo ship carrying around 3,000 vehicles, including 800 electric vehicles, abandoned it off the coast of Alaska after a fire broke out on board. Its operators said on Wednesday. Don Johnson talks smoking weed in the White House and reveals how much money he made gambling with the U.S. president. Socialist Democrat Zoran Mandani has from the state capitol as he canvassed for New York City mayor, having 50% votes in the assembly. ICE officers stopped a shipping container with deported migrants. Trump officials transferred the migrants to the East African nation in response to a judge's order. They now face that include rocket attacks from Yemen. Israel has intercepted a Gaza-bound Greta Thunberg and other prominent activists, detaining forward and taking them to Israel. Teen dies after trying social media trend. We don't have children to bury them, she always said. I'm gonna be famous. Dad, just you watch. I'm gonna be famous. Aaron O'Rourke said of his daughter Rena. Man with Britain's biggest penis answered one question people always ask of manhood. Secret Service's well-versed in handling girlfriends as Trump dating rumors emerge. Trump dating rumors emerge. Friends as Barron Trump dating rumors emerge. Elon Musk SpaceX program after Trump threatens to cut contracts. Musk has money, but Trump has power. Andrew Yang is to team up with Elon Musk. Elon Musk spent his evening calling Steve Bannon a retard after Bannon called for Trump to seize Musk's companies and deport him following their fallout over the budget bill. M files lawsuit against Mark Zuckerberg's Meta. Thanks to Jeff Bezos, you can now become a landlord as little as $100. And no, you don't have to deal with tenants or fix freezers. Here's how Trump restricts international students from studying at Harvard. Mr. Beast is the world's top YouTuber with an $85 million empire. But he says the average person will trouble living his life. New York Federal Reserve finds a significant share of companies saying they raised prices on goods not affected by tariffs. Marines are deployed into LA area in wake of revised protests. Roughly 700 dispatched to protect federal personnel and property over the intentions of Governor Newsom. Pentagon estimates sending Marines. They will cost $4 billion. Troops and Marines deeply troubled by LA deployment. RAL is not great.
You.
A Boeing 787-8 passenger jet carrying 242 people bound for London crashed in a area in the western Indian state of Gujarat shortly after takeoff on a crash Indian authorities say likely killed everyone aboard. Tehran launches drones. Iran steps up enrichment. Nuclear censure. Israel hits Iran nuclear facilities. Missile factory. U.S. sues New York over law blocking immigration enforcement near court. Brian Wilson and all of the Beach Boys dies at 82 after the Boeing Company 7 Dreamliner crashed into a densely populated district of the western Indian city of Ahmedabad. The rescuer managed to get out of the plane. It's alive. All the 241 of them on board had been perished. Conflict to escalate. Delta Airlines. Flights from New York JFK to Tel Aviv until at least 31st. Trump plans Bitcoin and crypto for a price game changer to unleash trillion. Oakleo from Chicago makes his first U.S. pitch at White Sox Park. TikTokers are claiming credit for Trump's parade attendance. Starbucks CEO admits the struggling chain made it big. The chain's new focus will be all about community and connections. The capture of 37-year-old Vance Luther Boulder ends a two-day manhunt that left the community on edge. He is wanted by police in connection with the killings of State Rep Melissa Hoffman and her husband and the shootings of Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette Hoffman. The years of $10 billion Purdue Farms and the $1 billion Sheraton Hotel empire. More hand-me-downs. Still rides the subway. One Republic's Ryan Tedder thinks it's a bummer that people are protesting Trump instance celebrating the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. Doctors at Department of Veterans Affairs VA hospitals nationwide could refuse to treat unmarried veterans and Democrats under new hospital guidelines. Imposed following an executive order by Donald Trump.
Trump Mobile. The Trump Org is licensing its name to wireless service provider and a $499 gold-plated smartphone called the T1. Founder of 23andMe buys back company at a bankruptcy auction. Millions of Americans brace for heat wave and extreme humidity. Israel warns hundreds of thousands to evacuate Iran's capital. Accuses Tehran of targeting Israeli civilians. Suspected Israeli hackers claim to destroy data at Iran's bank SEPA. New York City mayoral candidate Rob Landry arrested at immigration court. Man convicted of posing as flight attendant to score over 123 flights. A billionaire died after swallowing and bee, and the bee stung him internally. $499 built in the U.S. Smartphone will likely be made in China, making it subject to his own tariff policy. A hospital in the Israeli town of Beersheba has been hit as Iran fired a barrage of missiles at the country, with the conflict between the two nations continuing into a seventh day. Juneteenth festivals face disruptions and a change in the EI policies. Millionaire friend is in a group war with a neighboring town of millionaires. 8-foot-tall dictator approved sculpture appears on the National Wall with the group artists again pointy ISIS and humorist of well-known manager Sheikh Sari wine industry. Trump's doomsday plane that could mean you only have 5 minutes left to live takes unusual for another trip. Federal agents were denied access to Dodger Stadium on Thursday after the team confirmed it refused to allow the government vehicles from entering the venue's parking lots. R. Kelly cried on prison phone call in fear for his life. Lawyers say judge denies R. Kelly's emergency request for home action to protect him from alleged murder plot. Fat Joe sued for $20 million, but former hype man and explosive complained a righteous rapper engaged in sex with mics and covers released him into more than 4,000 sexual acts to make his ending. The new virus variant surge in China has arrived in the West. What to know about Memphis? David Lynch's belongings fetched $4.25 million at auction, including script, finished film. Nearly a quarter of Americans are functionally unemployed, highlighting a extra crack in the labor economy. OpenAI CEO says his kids will never be smarter than AI. His parenting is on ChatGPT. AI startup that raised $1 million to detect wildfires by clouds still relies on humans. Air Telegraph founder leaves his $14 billion fortune to the 100-plus children he's fathered, which means $130 million for each lucky June alphabet. Paris Hilton bringing my bunch to Mark's old pad. Buys mansion for $63 million. An unprecedented law in New York requires to disclose whether or not artificial intelligence was the reason for an employee's layoff. Supreme Court sides against disabled firefighter suing for discrimination over health benefits. Fettuccine Alfredo linked to multiple deaths. Thieves accused in $100 million jewelry heist also. So now battle air taxes from some electronics authorities not to nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Agrees with NATO to skip 5 and defense spending. Trump says Iran's nuclear.
The time for peace, he wrote. Ezra Miller has a lot of remorse for past controversies. Talks Hollywood comeback. For a dozen young hospitalized after wave of syringe attacks at music festival in France. Socialist NYC mayoral candidate Zoran Mandani once rapped about his love for Hamas terror funding group Holy Land 5. How could Iran respond to the U.S. attack on key nuclear site? Options are the strategic point of a suicide bombing. Expert says.
Whoopi Goldberg found herself in hot water after she controversially claimed that living in the United States as a black person is just as bad as living in Iran on Wednesday's segment of The View. Scaly Eyes 30-year-old believes when their calendar has a warning for anyone who creates work-life balance. Maybe you're not in the right work. Police shut down AI startup party. The air screams that Iran is just too strong. Israel-Iran conflict unleashed wave of AI information. U.S. strikes failed to destroy Iran's nuclear sites. Intelligence reports that how I can help queer folk navigate the coming out journey. President Donald Trump and his team were in contact with top congressional Republicans before his strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, but top Democrats were not told his plans until after the bombs had dropped. Rival calls commonly Mamdani's defund rhetoric. Final weekend of NBC Mayor's race. At least 22 people were killed Sunday in a suicide attack in Damascus. Authorities said the Islamic State is pretty unprecedented. The conflict between Israel and Iran has resulted in disruptions to travel and community airspace across the Middle East. The State Department said in a statement, there is the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizen interests abroad. The Department of State advises U.S. citizens worldwide to increase caution.
Several church members report what would have likely been a mass shooting. A church service at Cross Point Community Church in Wood on Sunday was shot dead by church staff members. One of them was wounded in the gunfire. Police said, as millions of Americans return to work June 23rd for the first full week of summer, they will face scorching temperatures, temperatures high as 100 degrees. People are sharing the poor person habits they'll never stop doing, no matter how much money is in their bank account. Doomsday scenario. Bitcoin suddenly drops under $100,000 as crypto price crash fears hit Ethereum and XRP. Billionaire investor Philip Blackman on Bitcoin. Every day I do think, why do I not own it? On Tuesday, the botched robot taxi launch led Tesla to drop more than 4% in nearly 15 All came after video was emerged showing the driverless cabs. Also, embarrassingly, still have humans as riding shotguns, breaking traffic law, driving radically. Russian Putin said on Monday U.S. attacks on the other side would put the world in danger and promised to help the people. Islamic Republic gave no specifics. Vibrant news attacks after markets rallied and oil prices fell as investors judged the risk of what to be minimal. The symbolic nature of the nation and reduced years of disruption to oil supplies has shifted the focus back to fundamentals and possible future U.S. interest rate cuts. Donald Trump weighed in on ally Benjamin Netanyahu, whose long Israel, Iran, and Bibi could not have been better, sharper, stronger in his love for incredible holy land. Trump said on Wednesday night, the reigning supreme Charlie Khamenei broke week-long claiming in a televised speech that his country had secured a victory over Israel and delivered a slap in the face to Washington. This is a fight for life. Climate expert on tipping points. Doomerism using the shield. Reports of buckling due to extreme heat in multiple states, including Wisconsin, Missouri, and Delaware. Economic assumptions of the climate crisis are no longer relevant. How do you escape a heat wave when you have nowhere to go? With the onslaught of generative AI, Silicon Valley's term for complex prediction algorithms can be used to create content based on vast amounts of material that they gathered without the permission of its creators. The job search has become a veritable goblet of fake job listings, automated application bots, and generated interviews. Ahead of their staff started winning this week, the soon-to-be Big 61 and 55 was spotted on Bezos' $500 million super yacht named Coral off the coast of Europe on Sunday, June 22nd, partaking in lavish foam-filled festivities with their friends. At least 16 people killed, injured in Kenyan protests. According to the May 2025 Global Guardian Risk Barometer, France currently leads the world in crypto-related extortion and kidnapping cases. 5 out of 21 reported global incidents in just the first 5 months of this year occurred in France, more than any other country. Nearly 150 people were jabbed with syringes during a street music festival in France. The country ministry said, adding that authorities had arrested at least 12 suspects. Sir, who describes herself as a feminist, suggested that women engaged during the festival used H&M as a code. The road to America Healthy Again will apparently be paved with Apple Watches. Health and Human Secretary Robert F. Kennedy just unveiled a campaign will try to encourage the widespread of wearables. A massive cargo ship carrying an estimated 3,000 people arrived in international water this week, causing it to sink, according to the US Coast Guard. Anthony poised to win New York Democratic mayoral primary as Cuomo concedes. NYC developers gripped by hysteria after manganese sudden rise. After a week, Baltops claimed that phone is made in the US. Phone isn't made in the USA, but is designed with American values. US says deal will export rare earth exports from China. After landing at Newark Airport, Norwegian tourist Wilson says he was detained and denied entry to the US because immigration officials found on his depicting J.D. Vance as a bald baby. A man charged with helping bomb a fertility clinic in Southern California last month has died in federal custody in Los Angeles, prison officials Tuesday. Like Starbucks and Chipotle CEOs, this $450 million aptly equates to disastrous from the top job. He's trying to join the 1,000-pound club. Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos spoke to US President Donald Trump at least twice this month as he tries to capitalize on the feud between rival SpaceX founder Musk, Trump, and bag more government contracts. On Wednesday, June 25th, protesters placed a dummy in Bezos' likeness in the Venice Canal. Dummy clutched onto a large rectangular Amazon box and held Texas after threatening Joe Rogan. He is being sued by a man who claims that he sodomized him at a house party after telling him, "You're about to get that titty love. You get that titty love. Get that titty love. That titty love. Love." Huge number of crypto users getting terrifying letters from the IRS administration expecting $30 billion nuclear deal for Iran. New Texas law targets 44 food additives with label. Here's what you need to know. Beautiful bride flaunt jaw-dropping pink diamond could end up in a museum. Resort Sanchez identity trap. Leo, Sydney, Orlando Forum Party Center. We are getting the credit. Tom Pitt, Leo DiCaprio, Blue Man, Sydney Sweeney are in the thick of Party Central at the Jeff Bezos Lorraine Sun. They didn't in Venus. And it sounds like Tom's making a move. Business leaders are threatening to leave New York City amid the unlikely ascension of Zoran Mamdani. This scenario has played out before. Here's what happened. BACT makes moves to issue $1 billion worth of securities and could potentially use the money to create a crypto treasury. Tariff negotiations between US and Canada suspended. President Donald Trump said, "Beautiful bill, Big America hedge is changing the dollar's global standing." Mother of teen who died by suicide after interact with chat of urgent warning about AI in Trump's wig. Missed Beast kills AI thumbnail after creator revolt. Are falling dramatically with the US after a surge in 2020 and 2021. Analysts say reinforcement and communities from local government after the pandemic disruption is a key reason. 2 teens shot at 6 others sprayed at New York City bribes marched the yet died from cardiorespiratory arrest to the head of an illness. Inquest finds 2 firefighters killed in Idaho after suspected that started the dam fire. Authorities say Russia paid young Ukrainians to be unwitting suicide bombers in shadow war. Olive, 19, was offered $1,000 for campaign attack on the station, but the background he was given contained a crude bomb. Ukrainians clear issues fatwa against Trump. Netanyahu clashes interests in Turkey over magazine cartoon allegedly depicting Prophet Muhammad. Starts first, Francis drifts smoking in all outdoor areas frequented by children, including parks, beaches, public gardens, bus stops, school entrances, and sports venues. The sleeping here is part of President Emmanuel Macron's pledge to create the first tobacco-free generation. Justice Department directive to strip naturalized Americans of citizenship for civil offenses. Zoran Mamdani says, "I don't think we should have billionaires Republicans, including Donald Trump, are publicly flipping out over Mamdani's win over of the United States." Early on Wednesday, the morning after Mamdani's mayoral win,